So I think that there is an opportunity to tap into wisdom that's right in front of us. And I want to talk about how to do that. And I have to warn you up front, for us to leverage this opportunity, we're really going to have to think counterintuitively. So let's begin. How many of you know what this is? It's a computer mouse. In fact, it's the same model of mouse that I attempted to teach my grandfather how to use his first computer about 10 years ago. Now, I have to tell you about my grandfather. He's a very intelligent man. After World War II, he served as a covert counterintelligence officer against the Third Reich in counterinsurgency efforts. And then he came back stateside and was a principal and led a school for 50 years. And yet, I was amazed that he could not grasp the concept of the point and click. After about 3 months, he boxed up the iMac and went back to books and paper. And I was just really, I didn't understand. I was like, well, it's so simple. And it was this experience and his struggle to grasp this technology that woke me up to this opportunity that's in front of us and this unique dynamic in our society. And that is that for the first time in observable human history, there are 6 distinct and definable generations all living together at the same time. Now, the reason for this is probably somewhat obvious, right? Is that people are living longer. Medical advancements are leading to longer lives. In fact, estimates suggest that by 2050, we'll see lifespan exceeding 140 years, if you can believe that. And then there's rapid innovation in technology and exposure to world events that's causing us to clip off generations faster. So people are living longer, and then the hard breaks between how people think and perceive data is happening faster. And so we're having more generations all living at the same time together. Now, when I look at this, I see an incredible tapestry of value that we could tap into. However, that's not the intuitive response. In fact, the intuitive response is we create these types of generational towers of Babel. And I see this all the time when I work with organizations and I work with people, and they're working together, and it's like they speak a different language. And there's even this myth that's propagated. And the myth is that because you're comfortable with technology or culture and you know how to navigate it, you're somehow more intelligent than someone who's older. And that's just not the case. In fact, I want to prove it. See, when anyone asks me about anything technology related, this is all I do. I'm just poking around. I'm trying this, I'm trying that. It's just a simple flow chart, rinse and repeat. Now, it's comfortable for me because I grew up with it, right? This is technology that it's just native. It's like learning a language. But I forget that someone else didn't. Someone else didn't ever have a computer. They don't know how to use that. And so I need to understand that. In fact, I need to adapt a new type of intelligence. I would call it a generational intelligence. By now, you've probably heard of emotional intelligence and social intelligence. People are like grabbing this and they're saying, oh, no, now there's behavioral intelligence and organizational intelligence. So I'm going to throw another one out there. It's generational intelligence. It's the ability to look across this spectrum, this wonderful tapestry of experience, and seeing how, one, I'm showing up as a generation, in the generation that I am, and its proclivities and distinctiveness, and how to recognize the strengths of another generation and leverage that. And we're going to need to do that. In fact, this is a language that we're going to need to learn if we're to read the map of the opportunity that's in front of us, this opportunity for wisdom. And I really want to, at this point, I hope that the opportunity is somewhat fairly obvious. It's that if we can mash together across the spectrum of experience and marry acumen, competence, context with experience and just some native comfort with technology and culture, we can do some amazing things. In fact, we can get to the results that we want when we face challenges much faster, and we're in fact going to need to do that. Because if we look out over the next 50 years of the human race, we're going to face some incredible challenges. I mean, some of them we're already aware of them, with energy, food scarcity, water scarcity, infrastructure. I mean, these are really complex, difficult challenges. Now, the good news is that as complex as they are, we can actually overcome them. And we will be able to overcome them, but it's going to need to be the best of who we are. So the best of our experience and the best platforms to leverage that. And that's how we can do it. We can actually have rapid innovation and actually reduce failure. Because the cool thing is when you get across these generational spectrum, you can actually find out that people have experienced something that you have found before, and they can help you get to the result that you're looking for faster. So this being the opportunity that's right in front of us, the question then is, well, then how do we do that? How do we tap into this? And that's another exciting and really encouraging aspect of it is that there are programs and practices already in place that people are leveraging to speed this up. My personal favorite has to do with mentoring and reverse mentoring. So now, mentoring you're probably somewhat familiar with. It's the idea that you bring someone who has a degree of acumen, experience, and you pair them with someone who doesn't have that, and you try to skill them up. And we're seeing this pervade a lot more in organizations, especially ones that have IP or founders who have been around in industry for a long time, and they're saying, look, we need to transfer some of this understanding if we're going to continue to make the dent as an organization that we want to. And so they're doing it that way. But then they're also looking at reverse mentoring. And reverse mentoring is when you say, hey, I've got somebody who's got actually some great experience, but I don't know how to give voice to this. I'm struggling for the culture to tap into this. I'm struggling for a platform, whether it's social media or the internet or all of the new technology that continues to come out. I'm struggling to interface with that. And so we're pairing people together in that way. But there's a subtle nuance with reverse mentoring, and I want to speak to what do we want to look for when we look for a reverse mentor. One, we want to look past how they look. Because sometimes they look, just looking at them, we're like, well, I don't know that there's a lot of value there, but there really is. We have to look for, one, do they have the skill and do they have the acumen? But then also, do they have the ability to work across generations? And working across generations, now this is the part that's really counterintuitive. In fact, your brain is wired to make sure this does not happen, okay? There's this part of your brain, the really primitive part at the back of your head called the amygdala. It's the emotional center of your brain. It's why when you hear a political idea that you don't like, you actually have this emotional response of fight or flight. And it's why when you hear a political idea that you affirm, you're like, yeah! It's reinforced hardwiring in your brain to embrace that which you know and reject that which you don't know. It's an instinctive thing that serves us. It's why you don't touch the oven another time. But it doesn't serve us when we talk about getting across this generational divide. Because when we encounter somebody who's different than us, what's the response? We go, oh, they're different, so different must be it's wrong. And so even though there may be value there and there's something that I could leverage, the difference is the thing that keeps me from doing that, and so then I lose that opportunity. So even though this opportunity is right in front of us and we could tap right into it, the intuitive response is not to do that. That's why it's so close and yet so far away. But if intentionally we see meeting someone from another generation or in the workplace when we're working with someone from another generation, if we could see the value and hold on to that and let that trump maybe the difference, we can get across this. I mean, specifically, if you've ever worked with somebody in a builder generation, they understand solidarity and resilience in ways that millennials don't. And millennials understand vulnerability and the ability to share in ways that other generations don't. And when you bring these together, you can do some incredible things. So as we think about this opportunity that's in front of us, we have to ask, well, where do we find these reverse mentors? And this is the other cool thing. They're all across the universe. Some of them are on Xbox Live. Some of them are in your family. Some of them are in your church. Some of them are your neighbors. But the thing is to look for, are they exhibiting this generational intelligence? Can they see someone who's different from them and experience diversity? Can they work across that? Because if they can't, if they just see it as black and white, we won't be able to do that. And that's the rare part. That's why you have to keep your radar up. There are some programs in communities that do this kind of stuff, but it can be as easy as looking at the person across the room. They may be the person that could help you do that. So as we think about tapping into this incredible opportunity, the question for us is, well, where do we want to play? Some of us are going to go after these macro problems that are facing humanity, and I hope we do, because they're big. But we're not all going to play in that space. And the reality is that each one of us experience significant challenges just being human. And the great part of this is that you can play in both and you benefit all of society. Even if the place that you play is at a micro level, if you can overcome the challenges that you're facing faster and getting to better results, guess what happens? It benefits all of society. It gives us all margin and ability to go and tackle these larger problems. But again, it's counterintuitive. It requires us to actually be vulnerable about, here's the challenge I'm facing, and think maybe there's somebody who's experienced it before, maybe someone even from another generation that I don't understand, that could help me through this challenge. And that's counterintuitive. But if we could start to see the value of that, if we could want the result more than how it feels, we could get to some incredible, incredible results. This is the real wisdom, right? It's tapping into this opportunity. and we'll find that it's not so close and yet so far away. Thank you.